What is good, Detroit Lions fans? Obviously, this is Detroit Lions News Podcast on Between the Whistles, the YouTube page. Please subscribe and like and rate, and we will give you all the Lions content that you can ever imagine. Calvin Johnson. This is a very critical issue because we talked about it before. Obviously, you want to mend fences with a future Hall of Famer. It's a big time, especially with the Lions on the come up. You want to mend fences with Calvin Johnson. Calvin Johnson is one of the best players in franchise history. You look at Barry Sanders, you look at Calvin Johnson, you may look at Matthew Stafford, but those are the three that you look at. And if you go back farther and you're old, Bobby Lane, don't care. Anyways, they might mend fences. It might mend fences into a jersey retirement, which would be great. Now, here's what Rod Wood said. He said, I'm not directly involved. I kind of handed it off to Mike Disner. We're working on a couple things, hopefully to get him not only closer to the team, but involved as an ambassador, maybe even a sponsor, if we can get the CBD thing approved by the league. So things are progressing in a very positive way. He's in town. He's responsive to meeting with Mike, and he's got a representative that Brian and Mike have been talking to on a regular basis. It's very great to see that. Not only is it great to see that, it is great to see that the Lions are actually making significant strides to own their mistakes. I don't know what happened in that realm with Calvin Johnson, the signing bonus. All I know is the general manager that was in at the time was a total buffoon and really didn't care about players. He didn't care about the relationships that players had with the franchise. He didn't care. And Calvin Johnson is one of the biggest players in Detroit Lions history. He's one of the top Detroit athletes in the last 50 years. You'd obviously name Stevie Y, you name Isaiah Thomas, you name Nick Lidstrom, you name, Justin Verlander, Miguel Cabrera, and Calvin Johnson would be along with that line. So it's very important for a Detroit sports team to mend the fences with an all-time great. Not only that, it is great to see that the Detroit Lions actually have the wherewithal and the awareness that this is not a good look for them. And last time Calvin Johnson was in Detroit, there was a lot of people talking about how, they were booing at his ceremony. Obviously, we heard all about it on the sports talk radio stations, the Sheila getting booed. It wasn't a great look. And it wasn't good for Calvin Johnson. And I'm pretty sure Calvin Johnson doesn't want to come back to that when they're not on good circumstances. Obviously, the fans care about Calvin Johnson. They booed Sheila Ford endlessly for that. And I don't think it's a good thing for the Detroit Lions and Calvin Johnson to come back if this isn't mended. So it was a good thing to see that happen, because if you look at it, look across the league. Jerry Rice comes back to San Francisco 49er games. There's all-time greats that come back to where they got drafted from, and it's incredibly clear. When the Lions are in a playoff game, it would be nothing better to see Calvin Johnson back there with, Barry Sanders. And, that would be great. That would be absolutely phenomenal. And to see this happen and to see a possible jersey retirement ceremony possibly taking place in the future, that is great for this franchise. We talk about it all the time on here. The Lions are heading in a great direction, but it has to work with everything. You can't just ignore that Calvin Johnson and Detroit Lions, they did not end on good terms. It's absolutely crucial for the Detroit Lions to make this right. Make it right. It's absolutely crucial because you see it across the league all the time with other teams, that players that were great players come back to this team and they watch them either in a game or not. This is Between the Whistles Detroit YouTube page. If you like the content, please subscribe. We'll keep you entertained with Lions content going forward. Obviously, the draft's coming up, so stay tuned to that. This is Between the Whistles Detroit Lions News Podcast.